Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome here to the third race of the season for the Fuel RaceTrackDesigns IndyCar Series. Seth Cole along with Sam Dyer here this evening. And Sam, I think we could safely say if everyone enjoyed the type of racing we had back at the season opener at Motegi, they're going to love the type of racing we have here tonight at Michigan.
Yeah, Motegi was a lot more of like single file drafting, passing each other here and there. This is going to be a lot more of pack racing, 2 wide, 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide around here at Michigan. It's a wide track, and we're going to be seeing a lot of pack racing here at Michigan.
The thing that's going to be interesting too to see just how aggressive early on with how wide this track is, because it's 156 laps. So you got to play into the factor that we're more than likely going to be at a long green flag runs, and these drivers may have to think about potential green flag pit stops, and pit road could certainly play a factor in the winner of this race as well.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of these guys during practice, pitting during practice time, and they were usually coming in 1 or 2 cars at a time. I wasn't seeing a huge cluster of cars come in. So I'm wondering if we do have a green flag pit stop, are they going to come in 1 or 2 at a time, or are they all going to come in as a cluster?
And this track is maybe one of the easier tracks out there to be able to have a nice transition from turn 4 onto pit road. But to your point, if you come with a whole bunch of other race cars, it may make your job just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it's also going to be tough because I heard that this setup is pretty tight, and it's going to get tighter as the runs go on. So it's going to be interesting to see if these cars get tight enough where it's just a struggle to stay in packs, or if they're able to stay with these cars and keep it under themselves and stay in these 2 to 3 wide packs.
You can see John Poole on the pole position for today's race, but not only will the racing be tight here tonight, but the point standings are awfully close too after the first 2 races of the season. The top 5 in the standings all separated by only 9 points, so a lot of shifting could take place in this race depending on events.
Yeah, I got to say, Nicholas Johnson, he's finished second in 2 races in a row, and he's starting second. He's the car for me to watch out for this race. He's really been close at winning these races, especially with Twin Ring. He was very close to winning that race, and even he didn't have a great chance of winning last week because of a late race incident that happened and with the damage he had on his car, but he did finish in second. So he's looking good up front. We'll see if Johnson can get a win this race.
Right now, only 1 point back from last week's winner from Laguna Seca, Mitch Welker. Andrew Wood, who of course won the season opener at Motegi, he's third in points, 4 points back. Katen Brommersbach currently, Kit Brommersbach sits in fourth. He's actually tied for fourth with Liam Quinn. They're 9 points back, and even some guys back there like Thomas Brezzi the third, Will Roberts, Cohen Evans, and also Cristobal Valenzuela. I mean, they're only 20 points back. And certainly with the fact that we've got as many drivers in the field tonight as we do, if somebody DNFs and finishes in the bottom 3, bottom 5, big opportunity for drivers to be able to make up ground, make up points, and make up positions in the point standings.
Yeah, we've been seeing that up front. Usually these guys get super aggressive in the beginning of this race, and sometimes the leaders get involved with an accident. So we'll see if they can keep it green here at the start of this race as the pace car pulls off.
Pace car pulls off. Buckle up tight, folks. Going to be a long one, potentially. 156 laps at Michigan, and John Poole gets us underway.
John Poole gets a solid start, but you don't want to get too far out. With the draft here at Michigan, these cars can catch up to you quick with just the draft on the backstretch, and we'll see if Johnson's going to make a move coming off of turn 2.
Right there, he kind of went a half groove higher, ducks it down to the inside, trying to get the run off of 2 on the straightaway, and look at just the difference of speed down the backstretch as Johnston goes to the lead.
I mean, this is the type of action we're going to be seeing all race long, as we're going to be seeing a lot of action 2 wide throughout most of this race.
And a side-by-side back here, it was almost 3 wide. That's Riley Thompson, Matt Hollabaugh, and Will Roberts. And remember Will Roberts at the last time we were at a Speedway, Motegi, he was battling with Connor Horn for the lead. The 2 of them wrecked in first and second. So obviously he's looking for a little bit of retribution coming off a rather mediocre finish last week at Laguna Seca.
Well, you're seeing as the leaders are still side by side, but it looks like Riley Thompson wants to make a move here on a second.
Of course, Riley Thompson was very much in the conversation last week at Laguna Seca, led the first half of that race. But as you mentioned, Nicholas Johnston ran into some issues, and Riley Thompson was collected up in that. So both these guys trying to bounce back here this week. And let's not forget, too, John Poole had the pole position, and he had a great run at Motegi. It was looking like it might come down to fuel strategy. You've got that late caution, but everything was looking like it was going John Poole's way in that race.
Yeah, it really did look like he had it, and then it just looked like Andrew Wood and Nicholas Johnson just pulled away as one of the cars just goes up so high. Believe that was Mitch Welker. It went extremely high out there in turn 3 and 4.
It was about, I would say, borderline fourth line there in turn 4, perhaps.
I mean, he was hugging that wall, basically rim riding it all the way through.
Right there, running a little bit higher than he is. That is our winner, Andrew Wood, from the last Speedway race at Motegi. Right there in that shot, there's your two previous winners on the season, the 76 and the 32, as they're trying to make their way around the top side of Riley Thompson. Looks like that outside line groove definitely getting the straightaway speed, and a lot of drivers now migrating up there, realizing this.
I mean, a car that's just started to drop back is going to be the 02 of Matt Hollabaugh. He's just, I don't know what happened to him. It looked like he got maybe a little bit loose during that last lap. He dropped about 3 positions. We'll see if he's able to come back.
Matt Hollabaugh, first time that I remember doing a broadcast with him in the field was back during the Indianapolis 500 over in Elite. So obviously no stranger to the Indy cars, and to your point, he is now back to the 10th position. Is it maybe just trying to feel out the car, maybe starting to go into conservation mode, or just that right now it's not handling the way he wants?
I don't think it's handling the way he wants. It just doesn't look very comfortable on these first couple of laps, and he's just been falling back ever since. It has to be a comfortable thing. I haven't seen him hit the wall at all, so that's not damage from there. I think it's just a comfortable thing that this thing's just too tight with everyone around him.
Wide up here as that was Ryan Heater going to the lead, made it 3 wide on Thompson and Johnston, and goes to the point. We were looking a moment ago at Connor Horn there in the 67. Of course, we already documented the issue he had back at Motegi. Last week, he got a top 5 at Laguna Seca, but it wasn't without incident in that race. So I think you said before we came on the air, he's just looking to try and have the car in one piece to finish out this race today.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Heater, he went from 6th to 1st on that last lap, and he's going to lose first, but that is a fantastic move, showing that it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in the top 5, you can make a move on these leaders in just one lap.
Right there, going to try and see if he can get to the right rear quarter panel, swing around the outside going into turn 1, trying to make the pass on Riley Thompson. Not going to be close enough, at least here in 1 and 2. We'll see if he can get a run down the back straightaway, as he's got Connor Horn looking low for the runner-up spot.
As we're starting to see all these guys just get into a line now with a couple of battles here and there. As they're about to go 3 wide for the lead, it looks like.
Horn on the bottom, Thompson in the middle, up top side, that's Heater. And it settles out to single file on the front straightaway. Then everybody chooses different lanes.
I mean, with so much speed you're getting off of these corners in the draft, you're able to just fling it wherever you want. And we were seeing this during Twin Ring as well, that cars were being very aggressive. They were just like throwing their cars as quick as they wanted just to try to snake or just make a power move on someone.
I think that if we go back to Twin Ring as well, if we're going to kind of look at where the trouble spots would be for these drivers, it's the fact that there's so many grooves available to these drivers going into the corner. They got to make sure that if they're making a pass on someone, that car in front of them doesn't come down across their nose trying to take their own line going into the corner.
Yeah, again at Twin Ring, I mean, that's how our leaders got involved into an accident. They were trying to go for the same spot. There wasn't enough room where they were going. They thought they were going the opposite way, collected each other, and that was the way they ended their race. And it's nice to see that everyone is so spread out with the way that they are. They're not being as aggressive as they were at Twin Ring.
Goodness, I'm sorry about that, but there was a little contact there. Will Roberts got some help from Hayden Pastoris, and he nearly lost it there in the middle of the corner. A great save by the 39.
You'll love to see the great saves, and you never know when you're going to see them, as they were so close to spinning it around.
This is where a lot of the action has been going on. Yeah, there's been a lot of making moves up there at the front, but from here, about the 7th, 8th, 9th position on back, they have been double wide, 3 wide, all battling for position. Roberts right now in the 9th spot, trying to go around Jason Brophy in the 88. And this is the great thing about this race. As you mentioned, everybody's going to be close. There's going to be battles all the way through the field, all race long. It'll be interesting to see if we do get those green flag pit stops, when drivers get split up, perhaps, just how many battles we're going to have on the track then.
I'm not really expecting there to be that big of a split up. I mean, we're probably going to be like this, where you have your small cluster of the lead pack and your small cluster in the back pack, but they're all going to be pretty much in a line together. But looking up front, you got Connor Horn in the lead, who went from 13 to first. It's good to see him make that move, but it's going to be Jason Brophy, who's going to be our biggest mover from 21st to about 6th now.
Just made a pass on Mitch Welker, now trying to reel in Nicholas Johnson. And if we're looking right now at our live point standings, with Johnston running in 6th and Mitch Welker there in 7th, if the points are correct, I believe neither one of them have led a lap yet, so they'd be tied for the points lead. So talk about the points getting even closer. As boy, this battle for the lead's been going pretty good between Heater and Horn. Neither one wants to give the lead to the other.
They're just staying side by side. I mean, this is the action we're going to be seeing, especially with the battles that are going to be going on up front. It's going to keep everyone that's third on back staying close.
Remember, folks, as well, this is a 2-mile speedway. These drivers have such low downforce that it's very draft reliant. So you see these guys for the lead going side by side. That's going to allow Riley Thompson, Andrew Wood, Jason Brophy to start closing in and making this a 4-5 car battle for the race lead.
You got the up front, they're all clustered up, and it seems like everyone else is just trying to get into a line to stay with them, as everyone else from about 5th on back are basically in a line.
I want to talk about somebody else that dropped. How about John Poole, the pole sitter, all the way back now to the 12th position? I don't know if he didn't like what he was seeing up there at the front or what, but after laying down a blistering lap time in qualifying, he's now running about mid-pack.
I think he's just like the O2. I mean, both of them drop back. I think their cars just aren't happy when they're behind someone. This dirty air just isn't good with their cars because, I mean, John Poole, he started in the lead but lost the lead almost instantly, and he has just been falling back ever since.
Right now, the entire field is under a 4-second blanket. Last car, the caboose in this train, is Kite Brommersbach, who came into this race inside of the top 5 in the standings, tied for 4th. Little strategy right here, just maybe being in the right place, right time if a wreck happens to be able to avoid it, because I think at one point he was up inside the top 15.
Yeah, he qualified 11th, and so he was up there, and it was getting dicey. There were a lot of cars just bouncing all over the place, almost getting into wrecks. And maybe staying back here is a strategy. It's a long race. We're only 17 laps in, and we've got to go 156 in total. So it's still a long race, and we've seen cars move up throughout the pack very easily just due to the draft. So we can totally see this number 1 machine moving up to the front at any point.
Right there, Heater trying to snake it down the back straightaway to cut the draft. Connor Horn says, nothing doing. I'm going to slingshot around you. How much saving can these guys do here? I mean, obviously, my assumption is these guys are going full throttle. There's no lift for these guys because this is such a momentum-based track. But, I mean, if you're somebody back there and just inside the top 15, perhaps, is there any way you can save fuel, or do you just have to keep the foot in the throttle?
Just due to the draft, the cars that are in the further back of the line are going to be saving fuel just because the draft makes your car isn't doing as much drag on the car. So your car is going to be saving fuel. But if you're up front, you're not saving any fuel at all. You're full throttle almost all the way around here. If anything, you might let off just a little bit coming into these corners just because how fast the draft is pulling you into these corners. But most of these guys are going to be going full throttle all the way around.
At 3 wide there between Brophy, Heater, and Horn, and maybe a little nugget we need to kind of store away towards the end of the race. That 3 wide battle, the middle line driver got the lead. So is the middle line the fastest way around the track, perhaps, or was there a combination of draft that allowed the 88 to get ahead of the other 2?
It was a combination of draft, in my opinion, on that one. But the middle line could be the faster line. Just have to keep watching to see how people are passing, but I've been seeing passes on the high side, low side, and in the middle, so anywhere really works as long as you're getting the run off the corner.
Brophy, Heater, and Horn, they have been having quite an exchange, and now you've got the 32, our Motegi winner, Andrew Wood, starting to enter into this picture, along with Riley Thompson. I mean, pretty much from 4th back to maybe about 9th, they've just been riding single file, watching this battling amongst the top 3.
Yeah, you got all of them single file until you get about to 13th, where they're finally the second pack, you could say. They're all strung out side by side.
Matt Taylor back there, Matt Hollabaugh, Danny Roberts is up here in this mix, and I actually, if I remember back, I think we said that Will Roberts was the guy that wrecked with Connor Horn and Motegi. Actually, I think it was Danny Roberts that wrecked with Horn, and right now Danny Roberts running in the 14th position, so got the wrong Roberts, but still.
As up front, they're still battling it out. I think Ryan Heater really, he is the one who's just getting the closest to anyone up front. The way he's just getting so close with his wing up front as our leader is blinking slightly, almost got into a wreck with Connor Horn. Luckily, there was no contact, but that was a very intense moment right there.
Definitely was very sketchy when you consider the fact that these drivers are trying to run as close as they can, get draft off each other. The last thing you want to do is be beside a car that's warping and then have him reappear into your car. And fortunately, it looks like that has settled out for the 88.
I mean, these cars are going over 220 miles per hour into a corner, and then you see the car in front of you slow down, blink a little bit. You're going to be holding on to that steering wheel just a little bit tighter, worrying about where he's going to come up, but luckily he is no longer blinking.
Bit in the gas and say a prayer. Our top two in the point standings, they've kind of found where they want to be. Nicholas Johnson right now in 6th, Mitch Welker in 7th. They've kind of stayed there. They haven't fallen back, and they haven't really moved up anywhere. They seem to be pretty comfortable with where they're at the moment, and I think maybe a reason for that is they're kind of big picture racing. First off, they want to make it to the conclusion of this race to have a shot at the win. And secondly, they want to keep themselves up there in points.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas Johnson's kind of the leader of this line of cars. They're just staying single file. They aren't really making any moves, but everyone that's in front of them and about down to Danny Roberts, those cars from Danny Roberts on back have been trying to battle it out side by side. So we'll see who really wants to move up to the front. It looks like a lot of these guys are just trying to survive. We're only coming up to 25 laps into this race. Still a lot of action to go.
So I don't know if you got a chance to figure this out with any of the drivers, but what do you think the projected lap is these guys are looking at as far as they can go on fuel?
I'm expecting probably about 60 to 65, but I've been wrong with my guesses on whenever people are going to pit, but that's my guess. Is around 60 to about 65 laps into this race. They'll probably see some green flag pit stops. The way it's been almost every single time about 1 to 2 pit stops a race, so around my calculations, that should be around where those guys are going to come in.
I think I definitely agree with you with being 156 laps, at least 2 stops to be able to make it to the conclusion. As it looked like Connor Horn was trying to get the outside line going there against Brophy, and now Riley Thompson finally feeling comfortable to make a charge to the front. He lost a little momentum. Andrew Wood now around him, and Caution. We have our first yellow.
Car is flipping on the back stretch.
Cienzo in the 43. Car is amazingly still under power. We can see the whole rear wing is gone. The front wing is gone. And finally going to take that car to pit lane. Lap 26 was when the caution came out. And let's see what happened to this machine. Oh my goodness. High speeds of these tracks too. High speeds, high voltage wrecks. And off of turn 2. Oh, there was a wreck up ahead. Somebody else got spun. That might have been the 55 of Hugo Galaz. And then the guy that hit Galaz checked up. Dakota DiCienzo never did and ran up the left side wheels, and that's what shot the car into the air.
Just
get another look.
You're so fast. I don't even think that he had time to even try to slow down in that point. That was the 15 machine that got involved with Hugo.
Right here off this corner, little contact there. And that white and yellow machine, which I think you said was Justin Morton in the 15, and just no reaction time for DiCienzo, and boy, that was a wild ride right there. And you got your tires in motion, that other car's tires in motion, and that's what's going to happen when those two tires reach each other.
Yeah, I think this pit stop is going to help with a lot of these guys. As looking at people coming in, it's looked like Andrew Wood's going to win the race off pit road. Riley Thompson going to get second, and Nicholas Johnston getting third. That's a little bit
And
of shift.
when Andrew Wood comes around, that'll be, I believe, his first lap led of the race, as he's been basically riding around 5th, 6th place for the most of this run. That's going to be a very important bonus point for him.
Yeah, I was looking back, trying to figure out what happened. Ryan Heater was coming. He was just losing a ton of speed about around lap 25 before the caution came out. He went from the lead all the way back to the middle of the pack. So it was just, I was trying to go back to see what happened to him before that caution happened. Looked like he just went high and lost a ton of speed and got a little loose off the corner of 2 on lap 24. And dropped him all the way back to the middle of the pack. But this caution saves him. He's able to come into the pits, get a nice pit stop, and now he's going to be starting in the top 10.
Restarting in the 7th position behind Andrew Wood, Riley Thompson, Nicholas Johnston, John Poole, Will Roberts, and Mitch Welker. And the rest of the top 10, 8th Connor Horn, 9th Hayden Pastorius, and 10th Matt Hollabaugh. That entire run, the entire field was no more than 5.5 seconds separation. Everybody was still up in the lead pack and still in the lead lap. Now, obviously, things have changed here as the 15 of Justin Morton, he came to pit road, made a little bit of repairs. I don't think he necessarily hit anything. It looked like he saved it before going down towards that inside wall off of 2. But obviously, the 43 of Dakota DiCienzo has become the first retiree out of the race and will finish in the 25th position. I think we had a potential black flag on pit road as well, because Jason Brophy was up near the front and now is going to be restarting back in the 23rd position. So tough pit road penalty there for the 88 car.
Yeah, he was staying in his stall for quite a long time. I was wondering what was going on because he was one of the last cars to come out of his pits. I couldn't figure out what happened exactly, but yeah, he's going to be starting in the back of the pack.
Had that one incident where he was having some connection issues. Wonder if maybe he was addressing that, but it'd be interesting to watch. I mean, he actually, if I recall correctly, started this race outside of the top 10 and fought his way up to the front. So it'll be fun to watch him try and cut his way through the field again as we're going back green here on lap number 30.
Pace car rolls off, and Andrew Wood's going to be pulling us away, but there was a bit of a clog up in the back. It looked like Danny Roberts was trying to pull off, go a bit quicker than everyone else, and just he couldn't go anywhere. Might have hit a car. There were a couple who just looked like everyone was just stuck and accordioned in the back.
You see how spread out here the front got. I mean, there's about a car length and a half back to second place Thompson, and then maybe another 3 car lengths back to Johnston and Poole. And you can see right there that Andrew Wood, at most tracks and most leagues and most mods, you want to be out in front and get the good restarts. Not here in this type of a track and this type of a mod with this package.
Yeah, it's not where you really want to be, but he's going to be fighting back for first as he's getting under Riley Thompson.
Nicholas Johnston going to now go to the inside for second. Pole sitter John Poole right there in the 4th spot, and right behind them, Will Roberts in the 39.
Yeah, this is the part where we're going to see. I mean, we're going to split up into 3 different packs. We got the front 5 or 6, and then you got another cluster of about 6 cars, and then you got all the way in the back, all the cars that got accordioned and were getting a bad start. And it's about a cluster of 8 cars, so if they all get lined up, we'll see if they're able to catch up to the pack of cars that are in front of them.
On board here with Jason Brophy in the 88. He's already worked his way up to 20th, now trying to make some moves here. That's Evan Adams. He's about to pass in the 59. See how long it's going to be until he works his way up here into the top 10. Now, I mean, we ran 25 laps before that first caution. We got the yellow flag that came to pit road. So, you know, with getting all of the high adrenaline in the beginning of this race out of the system, do we see a little bit calmer run now, or are we going to see the same kind of aggressive 3-wide racing up at the front that we saw in the first 25 laps?
I'm expecting, because there's not as many cars up here, that they could be racing a little bit more aggressive. You'd think that maybe they would want to stay in a line, which they are doing right now, but they easily could be racing just as aggressive as they were earlier. It looks like the second pack is joined up with the first, and so now we're a cluster of about 12 cars. So these guys can be making moves anywhere they want at the moment.
And of course, with that second pack catching up, they're going to have a lot of momentum, so they're going to want to take that momentum somewhere, and that's going to lead to the double wide racing. Look down there on the bottom. That, I believe, is Will Roberts making some moves there. He passed, I think, 2 cars. No, I'm sorry, that was Connor Horn in the 67 passing 2 cars. He just passed Mitch Welker and Will Roberts in 2 corners.
Yeah, the momentum you were talking about, he was the leader of that second pack, and he just climbed from about 8th all the way up to 4th, and could be battling up for 3rd and possibly even the lead here entering into turn number 1.
Elliot Thompson side by side with Wood for the lead. He'll take it. It was Johnston and Horn side by side for 3rd. Ooh, that was a little close. Horn almost coming down on the door of the 28, but they keep it together. And boy, they are slicing and dicing further back. That's Matt Hollabaugh back there, along with Scott Taylor. Someone's dropping. That's the 95, I think, of Taylor that's dropping back. It wasn't Taylor. Somebody just like really got out of the gas there on the back straightaway. That might have actually been Rodrigo Munoz in the 09, who I think came to pit road for an unscheduled stop.
Yeah, I went back. I couldn't tell what was the issue, but he came in. It looks like he might have been trying to get some wing damage. Got it all fixed up, but now he is about 2 laps down, and we'll see if he's able to come back if there's another caution.
That's a tough break there, as he had a good run last week at Laguna Seca. I believe he finished that race inside of the top 10. Yeah, finished in 8th place. So not what he wanted to have happen earlier on. And oh my goodness, look at this at the front now. They're getting 3 wide again. That's Horn, Thompson trying to run down the race leader, Andrew Wood.
And with this adding of the second pack, I mean, all these cars, there's a lot more opportunities to get up front now that you're not just trying to catch the front pack. Now you're in it. Now you can start to make moves to get up front to the lead. And that's why we're seeing a lot of this action up front of cars going 2, 3, 4 wide down the front stretch and back stretch.
We've only gone 7 laps here on this run, but you mentioned the fact that as the runs go on, the cars are going to get tighter. And I think Will Roberts almost got the wall off of 2 on the last lap. So that's that tight condition. It's very difficult to get the car to turn left coming off the corner when that right front heats up and that car starts to tighten up.
Especially with these Indy cars, you do not want to come off the corner and hit that wall at all. If you do, you are going to be ruining your day, and there's no way of coming back after hitting that wall.
Hunter Horn's got a big run. What does he do with it? Inside's blocked by Wood. Outside's blocked by Thompson. He'll go to the inside behind the 32, go for 2nd place on Thompson. Meanwhile, further back, Mitch Welker mixing it up with Matt Hollabaugh. That's for the 5th spot.
Jason Brophy, who we saw starting in the 23rd position at the start of that last restart, now is up to, looks like 14th, 5th. He's up to 15th, battling it out with the one machine, being up front of this second pack, trying to catch to the lead pack. We'll see if they're able to in the next about 5 laps. If they all get lined up, I think they can catch this lead pack.
Yeah, we saw him fight his way up very quickly to the front after starting this race outside of the top 10 at the initial start. And I think a reason why he hasn't made as much progress yet as he currently is at, which is the 14th position, is probably because of with that restart when everybody got so spread out. Now everybody's having to reel each other back in. I think that might be why he may not be up in the top 10 just yet, but still, plenty of time to be able to work his way up there. And boy, Thompson, it looks like Wood's been able to keep his car in front a little bit longer on this exchange between himself and the 56. It seems as soon as Thompson takes the lead, Wood takes it right back.
I mean, Wood just got the lead, and here comes Thompson on the bottom side. So it's really, hey, you take the lead on the front stretch, I'll take it back on the back stretch. Just swapping it back and forth. It's not like Twin Ring where we were seeing them side by side for, it looked like for 15 laps, they're just side by side for. Now you're seeing the momentum that they're getting at this bigger track, able to just pass people on the back stretch or on the front stretch.
in this side by side on the back and front straightaway between Wood and Thompson. And right now Connor Horn's just itching to try and figure out, do I want to maybe try that third lane, try and go 3 wide? Because he's going to be in someone's draft and have some momentum in the center of the corner to try and make a move off of either 2 or 4, but he's just not sure where he wants to put it.
Yeah, you might be seeing a little bit of deja vu. This kind of was going on with him during Twin Ring. He was stuck in third for so long that he got antsy, tried to make a move for the lead, and then he got collected with the leader. So, I mean, he might be thinking, do I really need to make a move here, or do I just wait? We're only 43 laps in. We haven't even hit 100 laps to go yet. So there's still a lot of racing to go throughout this race. We'll see. It looks like Connor Horn's finally making his move.
I don't know if it's just me or if you're noticing this as well, but back in Motegi, a lot of drivers were looking like, the cars were skating underneath them. They look a lot more stable here at Michigan.
Yeah, it's that tightness factor. I mean, those cars looked a lot looser, and a lot more people were just doing quick movements with their cars, trying to break the draft, trying to stop the momentum that they were getting. Here at Michigan, it's more so of just hold your line and hope for the best and not really blocking anyone. There was a rule implemented this race that if you block someone and there was an accident, you could be losing your position and be losing points. So there's that to be involved with, that on the reason why these guys might not be in racing as aggressive with their blocking or with the snappy movements that we were seeing at Twin Ring.
Side by side for the lead between Horn and Wood. There's Johnston in 4th, Welker in 5th. Again, they've kind of found their way to where they were before that caution came out, and now just kind of continuing to ride in those positions. And right now, I think with what we're seeing, especially up here with the top 2, they're looking at these first 155 laps as going to school, testing the waters, seeing what works and what doesn't, so that way they know what they got to do when we get to the white flag.
Oh, totally. I mean, we've been seeing them. I mean, right there, seeing Connor Horn trying to see, hey, if I make a move where I slide down and try to do a crossover move, is this going to work for me to get to the lead in time to make a last corner pass? Or do I need to be in the lead coming into the corner? Just little things to figure out, to digest, to figure out if this is going to work later on in the race.
Obviously, they're getting a lot of information right now. So if you're somebody back there, like I'm looking at Kite Brommer spot, Cristobal Valenzuela, Cohen Evans, I mean, these guys have been running mid-pack most of this race. I mean, they're losing out on this information really up at the front. Yeah, they're able to make passes mid-pack, but it's not the same as being able to utilize the clean air when trying to battle for the lead. So, I mean, does that put them at a bit of a handicap right now, do you think, if they're in a race-winning situation in the closing stages?
I mean, they're still getting information on, hey, this is when I'm going to be able to make a move, because you're not going to be able to stay behind these cars as much as you want. They're not really this backpack. They're making passes, so they're not catching this lead pack at all. They're actually just staying at the same distance, if not losing time. So I think they're really just banking on a caution to happen so they have a chance to catch up with this up front group. But at this point, their chances of getting up to the lead and battling it is slowly going away.
Hollabaugh trying to make some ground there on the bottom, and you can see it's not really working out. He was battling side by side with Mitch Welker. Welker got around him on the high side. Hayden Pastorius just got around him. Scott Taylor's trying to do the same. So does that contribute to the tight factor perhaps on the bottom, or is it just that he doesn't have anybody to draft off of or draft with on that inside line?
I mean, it could be the tight factor here, as these guys aren't really running directly on the line anymore. As I say that, Riley Thompson's right on the line on that corner. So a lot of these guys are running the middle of the pack, middle of the corner. So it could be a tightness factor, or it could just be, hey, let's just try to stay in line as much as we can.
Back up at the front, Andrew Wood, Connor Horn. We saw right there that Andrew Wood kind of ran a little bit higher line there through 3 and 4, trying to take away any draft from Connor Horn. Horn, though, got the slipstream on the front straightaway, back to the lead. And as these two have been exchanging the lead back and forth, Riley Thompson has not really stuck his nose in there to make it a 3-man fight. I think he's just kind of riding and watching this.
Yeah, I mean, just sitting back and watching this isn't a bad strategy. I think mainly you're seeing cars making moves and passes whenever they feel like their car has the run. Otherwise, they're just staying back, staying in line. A little information, I'm watching the lead pack of cars and what lap times they're running compared to the second pack. It's about 0.2 difference, almost sometimes 0.3 difference on the lead pack to the second pack. So the second pack of cars are losing time right now. They need a caution to get back with this lead pack.
That is the second group back here, being led by Jason Brophy in the 14th position. He's got Valenzuela, Galaz, Evans, Hurley, Brommersbach. They're all in this group. I mean, right now, you've still got the entire field only separated by 8 seconds, but it is about 4 seconds from Brophy up to 13th place John Poole, who is at the tail end of that lead group. So if you're these guys back here, what can you do with the fact that the cars behind each other get such good runs? What can you do to be able to gain ground on those top 13?
You just got to hope that the car that's coming behind you to pass you passes you as quick as possible, and you're able to just keep passing, slipstreaming, passing one another in a smooth fashion, and you're not staying side by side for a long distance of time. If a car's is faster than you, let him go by. I mean, not let him go by, but like letting him go as fast as possible by you is the best option here, so you can keep your momentum moving as much as possible. Otherwise, if you're staying side by side, you're losing time.
You see right there, these guys are trying to keep themselves lined up, but even so, they are continuing to lose time. It's now almost 5 seconds from 13th back to 14th, so maybe they're in we need a caution territory at this point in time?
Oh, they've been in we need a caution at this point in time since they've been losing time. These guys, again, like I was saying, they're running about a tenth to 2/10 slower than the lead pack. They're losing time. They need a caution if they want to get back into the action and battling it out for the lead.
These guys all came to pit road back on lap 25, so based on your calculations, we're kind of looking maybe somewhere between, what, lap 85 maybe to 95?
95 to about, yeah, around 95 should be around the time. 90 to 95 is where I'm thinking that these guys possibly could be coming in for the pits.
We were looking like we were definitely going to go into a long green flag run there at the start of this race, and really kind of a freak accident bringing out the first and only caution up to this point. So right now, I think with what we saw, based off what we saw on that first green flag run, we definitely can start planning for green flag pit stops, unless we end up having another freak accident take place.
Yeah, and with the way that we've been seeing this bigger pack, they're running faster lap times than this smaller pack in the back. I'm wondering, are they all going to pit together? Is there a pit strategy that they're going to be working together? I mean, as a team, you think that teammates would come in all at once to make sure that you keep the draft together? But does this whole entire lead pack try to all come in at once and just cause chaos? Or do they come in one at a time and slowly be all branched out throughout the track?
I mean, that's definitely the big question, because if they all come together, it's kind of like pitting at a super speedway. Different drivers are going to have different lines of entering onto pit road, and sometimes things just get congested. One driver slows up more than the driver behind him and gets run over. It's definitely like rush hour traffic. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get into the green flag pit stop realm. You know, if we have a couple of drivers break off one lap and another couple of drivers, or if a whole group will come to pit road at the same time. Right now, it is go time for the 37 of Ryan Heater. He has now worked his way up to fourth. He just dove to the inside of Mitch Welker for third. He's charging to the front.
Heater's been a really interesting car to watch. I mean, he's been making these bold moves throughout the race. Well, he'll just move up to the front, and then he'll get a little bit loose and lose a lot of time, and then he'll just get a huge run where he just blasts by everyone. So he's just a car to watch out for later on in this race for sure. I mean, he's got the speed whenever he gets momentum. But Connor Horn, whoa! Basically blocking the inside for Ryan Heater right there.
Saw the momentum that Heater got on the bottom, moves down to block that momentum. Whoa, and then Heater switches up to the top side right across the nose of Andrew Wood. That was a little sketchy in the center of 1 and 2.
That's like the third time I've seen him do that. He's cut across someone else's hood so many times. I'm surprised that these wings have been broken off. Just how reckless it looks like he's going as Heater's trying to make another move to the bottom.
It's a little deja vu right there. That time Wood slid up in front of Heater saying, hey, if you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, he just wasn't as fast as Connor Horn was earlier, though.
It's amazing to me with the fact we know that that right front's building up heat, the cars are getting tighter, but a lot of these guys, like the 37, they're still able to drive it down so deep into the entry of the corner.
This has been something we've been seeing throughout this season, though. It doesn't look like that the tire wear is as brutal as other tire models have been. That the speeds that these cars can carry and the wear isn't as harsh as we think it is. Mainly, it's the fact that when these cars get lighter, they drive a lot better, which is different from what this setup has been. Most of the setups it's been, you get lighter, you get a little bit looser, but with the tire wear slowly kicking in, the cars might be getting tighter, but it doesn't, just based on the times that these guys are running, I don't think that there really is enough tire wear for these cars to feel tight.
We, back on the first run, we're documenting the comers and goers. Well, back here in 8th and 9th, we've got a couple of guys, one falling back, one moving forward. Right now, Nicholas Johnston has fallen back to the 8th spot. Right behind him, Scott Taylor has moved up into the top 10 in that 95 machine. And right behind him, Liam Quinn, who we kind of almost wondered if he was going to be able to pull off the victory back at Laguna Seca last week. Looked like he was trying to play some fuel strategy, brought it home for a third-place run, and I don't know, maybe look at him maybe as a dark horse in this one, as we really haven't mentioned his name since now.
Yeah, he's kind of in the back of cars that have just been staying in the back of this pack. You've got Liam Quinn, Danny Roberts, Will Roberts, and John Poole. They've been in the back of this pack this whole entire run, basically. They haven't been trying to move up and make moves up into the lead. They've just been logging in laps until we get further along, as we are at about coming up to 64 laps in this race.
Add a new dog into the fight for the race lead. That bright green machine on the top side, that's Matt Hollabaugh going around the outside of Ryan Heater for second. So now it's Horn, Hollabaugh, Heater, and Thompson up here battling for the race lead. I think Andrew Wood, what happened to the 32? Did he just pit? He did.
Looks like it might be pit time for a lot of these guys as Andrew Wood comes in. My timing could have been off. It could have been that we were close to green flag pit stops on that first caution.
He came all by himself. So based off the projections here, these guys are about 35 laps that they've been on this run. 37 actually right now. So the question is, are these guys short pitting, or did they go as far as they could?
Well, it looked like Andrew Wood, he gained a ton of positions on that pit stop, so I don't know if he came in on that first pit stop and only got fuel, or if he only got tires. I mean, I'm pretty sure he only got fuel on that first pit stop, and that's why he gained so much time. So I don't think it's a fuel reason why he came in. I think it's just a legitimate time for cars to come pitting in. I think they only have about a 30-lap window to come in for the pits.
Some Brophy in the 88 on pit lane. Was running, I believe, in the 13th position at the time, was leading that second group. We'll see here if with this pit stop, if he can maybe gain a little bit of ground. I mean, do you think with the fact these guys are going flat out, even on the old tires, as Connor Horn's coming to pit road now, I mean, do you think that the fresher tires can gain you anything maybe on those first 2 or 3 laps?
No, not really. Just the tire wear models, it doesn't look like you're losing or gaining time by getting fresher wear. I mean, it looks like, honestly, your luck is if when you come back on the track, you're in the draft with another pack. Because if you come on track and you're by yourself, you're losing time compared to other cars that are coming in.
These guys got to make sure they do is not speed. If you get a black flag penalty here under green with the 32-second lap times they're laying down, you're going to lose at least a lap. And boy, that was close. Riley Thompson almost came in hot, but he was able to slow it down, and he's going to be side by side here with Ryan Heater. Got to hope that maybe the 56 pit stall is before the 37s, or this could be very interesting.
As they're coming in, I mean, you have the no, Heater
hard
spins
into that
it out.
Inside wall, and that front wing is gone. That's going to hurt here at an aerodynamic track.
Front wing is gone. That's going to be a ton of damage. That is going to lose so much time. But there's a pack of 4 cars that were from the second pack that came in together. So that's going to be the group of 4 that I'm going to be watching out for to see how much time they gain as they're going to be all together. The Heater coming out with a wing. We'll see if he has the speed, if that damage if that damaged his engine at all, or if there was any more aero damage that he got from that accident on pit road.
Those 4 you were talking about were Cristobal Venezuela, Cohen Evans, Hugo Gallas, and Evan Adams. So they will all be possibly leaving together. We got some more drivers just now hitting pit road, I do believe. Mike Hurley in 33 is just now leaving pit lane, and I believe Kite Brommerspach and Mitch Welker just finished up their pit stops as well.
Got all
we are right now waiting on 9 drivers, I believe. And I think Hayden Pastoris is coming this time. Yes, he is.
Here comes a huge pack, a group of 5, and there's a little bit of a contact coming in.
Danny Roberts. That was Danny Roberts. Yep. Oh, and he's going to get hit. He's got hit by, I think that might have been Justin Morton.
It was Morton.
And no caution. That was off the racing surface. But we said it. Pit road can play just as much of a factor in this race.
As Will Roberts is trying to get going. He's getting passed by the lead pack. That is drastic changes for everyone out there.
Will Roberts may have missed pit road or something. He's now coming to the pit lane from the race lead, but obviously we saw he was very slow there on the apron, and right now this is the battle for the race lead going on between Andrew Wood and Connor Horn, who have made their pit stops. But boy, a lot of those guys that we were talking about as possible contenders for this win. Danny Roberts with damage now. I mean, we already mentioned about the problems for Ryan Heater. A couple of top contenders gone just like that.
And they all would have been together up here up front with this pack.
People probably wondering, the hit that we saw there for Ryan Heater, and people are wondering, well, why are we saying they're out of it? We talked to guys last week at Laguna Seca. They said that front wing on the nose of the race car gives them downforce, and this is such a draft-reliant track. I mean, if you don't have that front wing, you're going to, A, spend a lot of time on pit road getting a repair and having the front wing put back on, or B, if you go out there without a front wing, that car is not going to produce nearly the speed that you need to be able to stay up with the pack.
So we got the front pack of 5 cars, and then you got another pack of about 6 that are trying to gain up to this front pack. So you got small packs here and there trying to make moves to get up front.
See the second group being led by Nicholas Johnston. They're trying to catch Wood, Horn, Hollabaugh, and Thompson. That's John Poole there trying to go to the inside of Johnston. Also in this group are Scott Taylor. Jason Brophy is up in this group, along with Mitch Welker and Liam Quinn. And then here's the third pack. Well, it's not really a pack. It's a couple of it's a straggler there. That's Hayden Pastoris, who is going to very quickly get reeled in by the third pack, being led by Kite Brommerspach. And in that group are those 4 you said all came together there. Valenzuela, Evans, Gallas, and I think Evan Adams is at the tail end of this pack.
Yeah, they're moving along very quickly as a group. I'm looking at the lap times. Hayden's moving about 2 tenths slower than what this pack of about 4 or 5 cars are running. So I'll catch up to him in a couple of laps, and then Hayden will have a pack of cars to work with here.
Right there, Ryan Heater back on track. They did make the repair to the front wing, but obviously losing a lot of positions. He's now currently in the 20th spot, and he is over 17 seconds behind the race leader. So a guy that was up there with a chance of winning this race now really needs a caution to come out if he's going to get back into the picture for this. And also, I don't know where the... Oh, there he is. Yeah, I was wondering where the 41 of Danny Roberts is. Looks like he's taking his car behind the wall, so it looks like he will be finishing in the 24th position. Tough break. I mean, boy, 2 for 2 and getting bitten at the Speedway track so far at the start of the season.
Luckily, it's a long race season, so still has time to come back. But yeah, you hate to see that 2 speedways where he had a chance to do well, and just the first accident at Twin Ring just was a racing incident, and this was just a surprised, weird fluke thing on pit road that you don't usually see. But when you're green flag pit stops, you never know what's going to happen.
I'm assuming when they all came to pit road there under our only caution that they all filled up the fuel tanks. So the new projection is 36 to 40 laps as far as how far these guys can go on fuel, because that's when everybody decided to make their pit stops.
And Andrew Wood was our first car to come in. So what? Let's do the math. When do you think that the next pit stops are going to be around?
Right now, he is currently on his 14th lap. So, if we stretch it to 40, we're looking at another 25 laps. So we're looking somewhere around lap 115.
115. So that's going to be really close to the fact that pushing it.
Sorry, 105. 105. I'm sorry, I miscalculated there.
I was like 115 makes it really close to the end of this race. So we might
actual math, and then there's my math.
We might see cars short pit here. You're going to have to pit twice from here on out, unless you're trying to push it as far as you can go. Maybe save fuel. This front pack could try to save fuel. They could try to let off here and there and try to push their car as far as it can go. Because if they get it to around 115, they would have enough fuel to make it to the end.
These drivers are out there, obviously, in a learning process, but also, with what we see, we're able to observe and learn things as well up here in the commentator's booth. And one thing I noticed, you mentioned Andrew Wood came to pit road by himself, as did Matt Hollabaugh. They're still up here at the front of the field, so you don't necessarily, it seems, have to come to pit road with a pack to be able to maintain your track position.
Yeah, I think it also helps if you have a clean pit stop. That is the most important thing, if you're not having to deal with someone else. And that was kind of what Riley Thompson had to deal with coming down with that issues that were going on in pit road with Ryan Hayter. I mean, they both were side by side coming to the pits. Riley Thompson backed off a little bit, and then Ryan Hayter spun up on pit road. So as long as you have a clean pit stop, you should gain a little bit of time on these green flag runs.
It might have been that little bit of issue there with Ryan Hayter that might have allowed for this. Jason Brophy is now back up in the lead pack in the 8th position. Remember, he was the leader of that second group before the pit stops began, and that group was over 4 seconds back. So, I don't know if I know he was also one of the drivers that came down early, but I think that obviously some kind of circumstance worked out for him and a couple of others that were back in that second group, like Brommerspach. I mean, they're up here now in this lead group, and that was after being nearly 5 seconds back.
Yeah, I mean, Brophy came out luckily with all of not the lap cars, but with the second group that was still running around. Brophy was able to just catch the end tail of that draft, so he was able to get up to speed a lot faster than some of these other guys. So he was able to catch up with these faster cars that have been up front most of this race.
We are now past the halfway point in this event. 74 laps to go, and 83 laps, 25 drivers took the green flag. We knew this was going to be this tight pack racing, but 22 cars still running, 21 still on the lead lap. That's pretty impressive.
It really is. I mean, we've only had one caution, which is the most surprising thing, and it was kind of a fluke accident where 2 cars just got together in a really tight spot of the track. You don't really expect cars to go out that way, but that is what happened here. As it looks like Evan Adams is all by himself. I don't know if he was by himself the whole entire race. I think he's just been by himself running laps as I was going through.
Right now he is in the 18th position. And yeah, he was kind of at the tail end of the second group before the pit stops began. And I think he actually was one of the drivers that came to pit road with that group of 4 you were talking about. But either they had a problem there with their pit stop, or maybe had a slow pit stop. And now he is way back there, currently about 14 seconds back from the race lead. A driver that we haven't really talked about today, and I believe he also was in that group of 4, is Cohen Evans. He's now working his way close to the top 10 in that 11th spot, now looking to the inside of Liam Quinn for position. Right now, I'm sorry, he actually was being passed by the one of Kite Brommerspach for position. That drops him back to 12th. But Cohen Evans was another driver that was a surprise up there in the closing stages at Motegi. Finished in the 5th position there, actually had the fastest lap in that race too. So, he is currently, I believe, leading the second group. If they get up there, I think this might be someone you might have to watch up there in the closing stages.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually part of the third group. We have our small, tiny pack of 4 cars that we have for our lead pack. We then have the second one that's led by Scott Taylor. And then you got these 2 packs up front, and then leading up front is going to be the one machine up front with his third pack. So it's interesting to see where everyone's landing so far. We'll see if this third pack's able to make any moves, but this third pack was kind of the original second pack from our before we had our pit stop. So they've been just slowly losing time. I don't know if it's because of pacing compared to the lead pack, but I feel like they should be gaining on this lead pack, but they just aren't. There's something with speed that's going on with this group.
Looking here at Scott Taylor, John Poole III, Nicholas Johnson, Jason Brophy, they're all in this second group, and they've kind of been fluctuating the last couple laps between 2.5 to 3 seconds back, and that's from 4th place Riley Thompson. So they are continuing to slowly lose ground. But again, I mean, we're seeing these top 4 up here, and we're thinking, it may come down between these 4 drivers. There's so many different factors. We could get a caution that comes out, bunches everybody back up. We know we're at least looking at another round of pit stops under green potentially, and that's obviously played a factor. I mean, right now, Pit Road has claimed more DNFs than on-track incidents. 2 drivers out due to pit road, 1 driver out due to an on-track caution.
And honestly, Pit Road could claim more. It's just, you got those certain spots on the track. They're just super dangerous. Last week, it was turn 6 at Laguna Seca. But this week, it's here on Pit Road. They're just dangerous parts of the track that the track just loves to eat up cars at.
Connor Horn and Andrew Wood, I think probably they've gotten sick and tired of seeing each other, because this kind of almost reminds me of back at Twin Ring Motegi when we had Johnston battling at the time with Andrew Wood. It was at the time for second, and then it was for the race lead. They just kept changing the spot back and forth and back and forth. Same thing's been going on here for maybe the last 40 laps or so between the 67 and the 32.
Yeah, and at Twin Ring, they were saying that they were just trying to entertain themselves by going back and forth. So this might be what these guys are doing, is just trying to jostle back and forth, just entertain themselves with how long this race is. Which is funny because they're pulling away. I mean, they were losing a little bit of time right now, but they were pulling away from everyone, staying in line with these 4 cars.
We are closing in on 10 laps away from when the next round of pit stops should begin. And of course, the 2 drivers we probably would be looking at to start that again would be Connor Horn and Matt Hollabaugh. Right now, Hollabaugh has been out for 27 laps, Andrew Wood out for 28 laps. And so we'll see if it's going to start with them again. I don't necessarily know if Hollabaugh running here behind these 2, if he maybe could be saving enough to maybe come down pit road 1 lap longer than he would be originally scheduled or not, or if he is just going to look at the fuel window and decide, all right, I've run at least 40 laps, I'm going to come in this time.
You probably push it as far as you can at this point. It's either come in when it's about 80 laps to go in the race, or not 80 laps, when there's about 40 laps left, or you just push it as far as you can and hope that you can at least make it until the end. You know that this is going to be a fuel strategy end of the race. We stay green. So some of these cars, honestly, if it was me, I probably would short pit, and then you're going to pit one more time and try to come in another time, while some of these cars are going to try to push it as far as they can to possibly only have one more stop to end this race.
Looking right now to see who were the last couple of drivers to hit pit road. Right now, at least up at the front of the field, they would be Nicholas Johnston and Liam Quinn. The 2 of them have been out on the racetrack for only 23 laps. So right now, if let's say the furthest they can go is 40 laps, if they go another 16 laps, that would put them somewhere around lap 111. That then puts them about projected 5 laps short of making the checkered flag. I mean, if you're somebody like Johnston or like Quinn in that position, do you maybe think, I'm going to try and make this on one more pit stop?
Oh, you try to save as much fuel right now to make sure that you don't have to. Like, once you save enough fuel now, save a couple, maybe a lap or two on this run, and so the next run you don't have to save as much fuel. But that's the fuel strategy that they have to do. I mean, if you're going to be one of the last people to come into the pits on this last green flag run, you got to come in last again on this one to push it as far as you can. I think the marker you want is probably 113 laps. Once you've run 113, you should be all right to the end if you're saving fuel and you're with the pack.
I mean, I think if we look at guys like Andrew Wood, Matt Hollabaugh, they basically have to strategize on 2 stops. But some of those guys that were some of the last to pit, maybe, just maybe, they can be able to save enough to be able to make it the rest of the way with just 1 trip to pit road. But again, if we get a caution, all fuel strategy is out the window.
Well, Quinn's been doing the same thing all race long, though. He's been in the back of whatever pack he's in and not really making any moves. He's not using his momentum to go up, as we're seeing cars coming to the pits now. That's Matt Hollabaugh who comes in the pits. Almost sending it out, but kept it clean.
A little bit earlier than I projected him and Wood maybe coming to pit road. I mean, Hollabaugh had only been out there for 33 laps, so interesting that he's coming down pit road this early. I think that this basically says he is definitely committed to a 2 pit stop race, and now the leader, Andrew Wood, is going to come in as well 1 lap later.
Yeah, with how early they came in, that last pit stop, they were going to be a 2 pit stop race. They could try to push it as far as they want, but they're not going to. I think this is going to be a short pit here. Try to push it as far as they can so their car is lighter at the end of this race with maybe fresher tires.
And also with less fuel to help keep that car light also. So that turns the lead over to Connor Horn. Now he's going to be playing a little bit of lead tag here with Riley Thompson. Thompson's going to go to the front. So Thompson says, all right, you've lost a buddy to try doing this lead exchange with. Now I'll step in since the 32 came to pit road.
Yeah, I don't see these 2 cars staying up front for very long. This second pack is going to catch them if it's just them for the next couple of laps. There is no way that these 2 can draft with them passing back and forth. They're going to lose time being side by side.
Right now, the next car we might be looking at to come to pit road, I believe, would be the 88 of Jason Brophy, running right now in the 6th position. He's been out the longest, 34 laps. So we'll see when he decides to come to pit road. But, well, I'm going to be really interested to see because, you know, with the way we've seen them racing here, you brought up the point of Liam Quinn running at the tail end of that pack there. I mean, he could definitely be in a little bit of fuel conservation mode. Right now, he, as well as, I believe it was, who was the other car? Nicholas Johnston. I mean, Johnston, you know, do you try going for it? Let's look at what his situation is. Obviously, big picture racing. He wants to make sure he leaves Michigan with a good finish, keep himself up there in points. But at the same time, he's finished 2nd, back-to-back races. He wants a W. Maybe a fuel strategy is what he needs to get it done today.
Yeah, I mean, both those cars are going to have to try to push their car as far as they can. Like I said, around the basically 113 marker of laps ran is around the marker that they want to get to. I think they can save enough from there on out to make it all the way to the end.
Brophy should be right within his window now. He's been out there 36 laps, so I think we'll be seeing him on pit road at least in the next 4 laps here. And that should begin the official cycle, I guess, of green flag pit stops. Kind of seemed a little early for Wood and Hollabaugh to come to pit road, but I think once we see the 88 pit, everybody's going to be on pit road in the next few laps.
Yeah, it's the battle of strategy at this point. See who really has the better strategy. Is it Quinn and Johnston versus basically it's going to be Woods and Hollabaugh. Hollabaugh and Woods are both in the same pack now with the lead pack of cars. As we're seeing cars coming into the pits. Riley Thompson losing all of that ground. The momentum of the draft blasting by him. But Hollabaugh's up front. I don't think he really cares about saving fuel as Wood is in the middle of this pack trying to save fuel as well. So these cars can be running as fast as they want to go.
Saw right there, issue for Connor Horn. Overshot his pit stall, then backed up. Went too far back, had to pull up again. So that's going to lose him time. Jason Brophy also on pit road this lap.
Brophy's going to get ahead of Connor Horn. and they're not going to be able to tag along with this lead pack.
And Heater we saw there as well. This time made it into his pit stall without knocking the nose off. And oh my goodness, that's Andrew Wood getting passed by race leader Scott Taylor. And you saw the closing rate as Wood, who's already made his pit stop, was a sitting duck. And up the middle, that's Hollabaugh actually battling with Wood for position, as now the 95 of Scott Taylor comes to pit road from the lead.
These two are racing for position, but they're also up front with the lead pack. This is some dangerous racing action that you got to be a little bit nervous with. But up front in this lead pack is the car that we're really watching out for, which is Nicholas Johnson and Liam Quinn. How far are they going to go?
If you think about it, too, right now, Wood and Hollabaugh, they're racing each other potentially for the race lead when everything cycles around. So that's why they're racing each other aggressively. As Riley Thompson stays out, John Poole, Mitch Welker, we're still waiting on them to come to pit lane. I believe that the one of Kite Brommersbach has just now completed his service. He's down and away. Cohen Evans, Evan Adams have also hit pit road. All these guys that we're mentioning right now projected they cannot make it the rest of the way without coming to pit road at least one more time.
55 and the 3 machine are also on pit road right now, as we are seeing everyone slowly doing the cycle of coming to pit road as our leader is coming in.
Thompson's going to pit from the lead. I believe the only car pitting this lap, Hugo Gallas and Cristobal Venezuela, you mentioned, just now leaving pit road after their service. So we've got about 10 more drivers yet to hit pit road, and we're looking here at the battle for the lead between John Poole and Mitch Welker. And I believe the 21 is waving. He's coming to pit road this lap. Also hitting pit road behind him might have been the lap machine. Thought there was a car behind him. Maybe not. It's like the 21's the only car hitting pit road this time. Up in this group, you got Welker leading, but you've got Quinn and Johnston still right there.
Top 3 right now. As Mitch Welker comes in.
Let's see how far Quinn and Johnston try to go. Right now, they've been out there for 39 laps. You mentioned that Quinn was riding at the tail end of that lead pack there. Let's see if he's able to go maybe a little bit further than 40 laps here. Would you say about lap 113 is what he's targeting, perhaps?
113 to 115, maybe even 120. I mean, around there, you should have plenty of fuel to make it to the end, and it's not even a really tire issue at that point. Due to the fact that Woods and Hollabaugh have to come in for another pit stop, just based on all we've seen on the pits so far this race, it's up to these guys. If they can push it just for a couple more laps, they should be all right.
Now we're waiting on 5 drivers to hit pit road to complete the cycle. Quinn, Johnston, Robert Hall is still out there, as I think he is now on pit lane. Hayden Pastorius had not pitted, but he's now on pit road as well. And also the 39 of Will Roberts we're still waiting on, as Johnston did come to pit lane in the 28 car. Quinn stays out.
Quinn staying out, and he's still with the supposed soon-to-be leaders once the pit cycle goes through.
It's going to be close. I mean, if he comes even to pit road this time, he'd be on lap 113. Let's see if he's indicating he's coming to pit road. Running low there. I think he might be pitting this time, and he is. So, boy, it's going to be really close for Liam Quinn if this thing goes green to the end.
It is. It's got to be super close, and I think this is what he was banking on, was trying to push it as far as he could. I mean, this was way farther than I thought he possibly could have gone. I mean, this was like a, let's try to get there as far as possible. And he got to 113. So that's where I was thinking he needs to get if he's going to push it. Now he just has to save just about a lap and a half. And I think it's possible if he gets behind a pack.
Went 42 laps there on that run. So when he completes this next lap, he would then have to basically make it, I think, about 43 laps in order to make it to conclusion. Boy, it's going to be close. And as we mentioned, Hollaba and Wood, they were battling each other, even though they were at that point, I think, on the tail end of the lead lap. It has now cycled around into a battle for the lead between these two. But again, the guy we're looking at is the 4 car if this thing goes green to the end, because we know that pretty much everybody else up here in this lead pack cannot have a chance of making it on fuel.
Car who's been just ever since our first caution, just slowly making his way up front. It's Jason Brophy. He's up here in the lead pack.
Brophy right now is in that 4th position. And another guy that I might have looked at potentially of maybe being a factor of winning this race on fuel strategy was going to be the 39 of Will Roberts. The only issue for him, though, is he was running behind Liam Quinn on track. And as a matter of fact, I believe he's run into more issues as he's sitting on pit road right now. Currently 3 laps down to the leaders. So it looks like pit road may have been an issue for him yet again.
And right now, Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston are together, but here's the issue. They are not with a pack at all. It's just the two of them together. They're not saving any fuel, and this is where he needed to save fuel. They are going to need to get with a pack soon, which there are a car of 3 behind him. But if Andrew Wood and the rest of this crew are able to just run laps and be as fast as they've been, and the other two of Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston are able to save any fuel, it could be a battle for who's in the lead right now.
They're about right now to go around a lap machine that I believe was the 12 of John Martin. He's going a lap down, as has the 33 of Mike Hurley. I know that this is a track all about momentum. We know everybody else is going to have to come to pit road. So if you back the pace down a lot more than he has been for Liam Quinn, do you lose a whole lot of time to these guys knowing they're going to be coming to pit road? I mean, is that a risk that's worth taking right now?
I mean, it's based on when this lead pack comes into the pits. I mean, they could come in at any point at this point. I mean, they could push it as far as 10 to 15 laps to go and then finally pit, or they could be waiting for a caution to come out. As Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston are just running together. They're slowly getting caught by a pack of 3, which is going to help them out. But right now, I mean, running, you might want to lose a couple of tenths here and there.
Now you've got Andrew Wood, Matt Hollabaugh, add Scott Taylor into the mix. First time he's been up in the top 3 all day. Jason Brophy right there as well, and Riley Thompson. That currently is the only 5 drivers up in this lead group. Connor Horn has been up front all day, but we saw him overshoot his pit box. He's right now leading that 3rd pack you were talking about, trying to catch Quinn and Johnston, currently in the 8th position. So a costly mistake for the 67 car.
Very costly. Had the chance to get a win, but now he's battling it out, trying to stick with these cars that are trying to do the fuel strategy marker of Quinn and Johnston.
Right now, you've got about 4 drivers up in this group. Actually, no, only 3 drivers. Horn, Brummersbach, and Welker. So if you're Quinn, do you maybe drop to the tail end of this group now and try and save some fuel?
Oh, I totally would. I would let the momentum of these guys just blow by and do the strategy that you've been doing all race. So just staying behind a pack, saving as much fuel as you can. And staying side by side isn't helping you at all. You honestly are going to be spending more fuel by staying side by side. If letting these cars go on by is your best option, but it's a racer. I mean, you want to be up front of the pack. You want to race as hard as you can. As up front, I mean, you got battling out with these cars. You got Brophy up front in the lead.
Think about the up and down day Jason Brophy has had. He ended up being up at the front, and then he ended up getting kind of held up there. Had that pit road incident, actually. I think he got a speeding penalty. Had to fight his way up through the field. The field got spread out. He worked his way up, leading the second group in 13th. After the first round of pit stops, fought his way up into the top 10 in the lead pack, and now after the second cycle of green flag pit stops, he's leading the way here at Michigan.
I mean, Brophy's had a great race so far. When he started 21st and now is up to the lead. Another car that started in the back of the pack and moved up to the top 5. As we saw Scott Taylor, he started in 23rd and now is up to 4. So both these guys start in the back of the pack and move their way up to the front.
The question is, are we looking at these guys up here right now, 5 of them in total? Are these the guys we're going to be seeing battling it out for the win? Or is it going to be Liam Quinn pulling off some fuel strategy? But right now, he is leading that second group. And to your point, that's not how you save fuel.
It's not, and I don't know. He must have the confidence to feel like I can push it as far as I want, and I've got the fuel to make it. But the way he's been running the race so far and the fuel that he's been saving, he's been in the back of the pack. He's been running behind everyone else, saving fuel on every single run. So it's different for him to be leading this little small pack that's battling it out for 7th place.
He basically went 42 laps on that last run. And when he came off pit road, there was 43 laps to go. So he has to save another lap of fuel more than what he saved on the last run. I honestly have to think he went those 42 laps with some saving in that run. So if he's not saving it all here, I don't see how he can go any further than the projected 40 laps that most of these other guys have only been able to go.
Only time can really tell, but you know that this front pack is going to have to pit at some point. We know that they cannot make it all the way to the end, even if they're saving fuel. There's no way that they can. They have to come in at least another time. So this also could be the battle up here up front. Also, it could be Quinn and them back there who could be the leaders at the end of the race. Only time can tell, and honestly, we could be seeing pit stops in the next about 10 to 15 laps.
We've entered in with 32 laps to go. We've entered into the fuel window now where these drivers, if they came to pit road now, they could make it the rest of the way. You run a little bit of a risk here, though, because if you come to pit road now, you're more than likely going to fall a lap down. And if a caution comes out, that pins you off the lead lap. So it's a little bit of cat and mouse right now of, do I want to short pit and run that risk? Or do I bank on the fact we are going to go green to the end and try and get the jump on everybody else?
I think that's why you haven't seen any of these cars come in yet. They're all trying to push it as far as they can so their car is the lightest and has the less fuel in their machine. So it drives the best. I mean, the lighter the fuel, the better the car wants to run. And so you're trying to push it so their car is the lightest that it can be at the end of this race.
Right now, if the projection is anything to go by, we are going to see Matt Hollabaugh and Andrew Wood, the first 2 cars that have hit pit road on the last 2 green flag cycles. We're going to see them on pit road somewhere within the next 12 laps, which would put them within the realm of about 18 laps to go.
Just looking through the rest of the pack while we are waiting to see what everyone's going to do up front. One of the cars that really is not having the best day that they want to have has got to be John Poole. He is not having the best of times. He's up battling with Mitch Welker. I mean, he's leading the pack up here with back in the 11th place. And it's not where he wants to be. He qualified up front, looked fast all race long, but his car just did not like being in dirty air.
And John Poole ended up finishing podium back at Motegi. And I know I keep going back to Motegi, and I know that obviously entirely different racetrack, but it's the only speedway race we've run this season. So just kind of basing off drivers that, you know, some of them say that they're speedway experts, some of them say they're road course experts. So just kind of trying to see who we can kind of look at for consistency at certain types of tracks. But yeah, to your point, I mean, I think really the thing that put John Poole behind was back on the restart. He was back around the 13th, 14th position at the time. The field got so spread out, and he's just not been able to make the ground back up since then.
He really hasn't. That accordion effect really stopped everyone from making any moves and to stay all together as Liam Quinn and it looks like Nicholas Johnston once again, side by side, coming across the line. I'm interested to see if they can push it as far as they were able to before. Honestly, I think these guys might run out of fuel before they get to the end of the race if they're trying to push it all the way to the end.
I mean, if we look and add Johnston into the equation, Quinn went 42 laps, Johnston went 41 laps on their respective green flag runs. Based off of what we've seen, let's say that they're not saving right now, that would put Johnston a total of 3 laps short of making it to the checkers, and would put Quinn 2 laps short of making it to the checkers. And the way they're racing right now, I don't see either of these guys in fuel conservation mode.
I really don't. Just because they're battling as much as they are. I mean, they might know something we don't know. They might know that they have the fuel to make it to the end, so they can race as hard as they want right now. So that could be the reason why they're battling as hard as they are. They might know that they can make it to the end. And honestly, these cars up front, they might know that they can make it to the end. That would surprise all of us. But with the way that they're racing, I think they're just trying to push it as far as they can, as we are on lap 132 and just a couple laps left in this race.
Halaba and Brophy, they've been exchanging the lead up here. The question is this going to be the potential battle we see in the closing stages? Or you drop back here to the battle for 6th between Quinn and Nicholas Johnson. Are they sizing each other up, knowing it may come down between the two of them in the closing stages for this checkered flag? It's a very interesting two different scenarios that we got going on right now.
Now, where we are predicting that the lead pack and everyone is going to be able to come into pit roads, or has to come to pit roads. As I'm watching this battle for 6th, as Connor Horn wants to get in the lead of this lead pack. He's tired of being in 3rd of this pack. He wants to be up front.
The thing that I'm thinking about too, we have had some incidents take place on pit road, and it has not brought out a yellow. So if we end up having drivers with some mistakes on pit lane, my assumption is it will not bring out a There we go. Apologies for that. Flatcaster apparently, I guess, was AFK or something, or was idle, and so it kicked it from the server. So I don't know how much people got of that, but I mean, we'll go back and recap it real quickly here. We were just talking about the fact that incidents
are happening.
There we go. Here comes Matt Hollabon to pit road along with Jason Brophy, but we were just talking about pit road. We've had incidents, and it has not brought out the caution. So if wrecks take place here on pit road, we will probably still remain under the green flag.
Okay, so we got all these cars coming in now. And here's the interesting thing. Andrew Wood was not a part of the first part of those pit stops. He usually comes in this time by, so we'll see if he'll be dropping in this time or still be pushing his car as hard as he can.
And low there on the track, I think he is pitting, and here indeed comes the 32 to pit road. So now it really comes down to, if the thing remains green, Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston, do they have the fuel to make it? Because everybody else right now projected cannot make it.
And this was their chance. Liam Quinn and Johnston had their chance to save fuel. Johnston's been following Quinn for most of this run, but Liam Quinn hasn't really been following enough of Connor Horn to see if he could save fuel or not. So as he's making the move on Connor Horn, it's this front pack. It was interesting to see where they were going to stack up, but I don't think Liam Quinn has saved enough fuel for this race.
That's the interesting thing, because we're speculating here about Quinn and Johnston, but with what we've seen, and based off what we've seen for drivers projected being able to make it as far as they have, right now we've got both Quinn and Johnston projected short of making it to the checkers. So are we looking at them, or are we looking at Wood, Hollabaugh, those guys that came to pit road? Are those the guys that are going to be settling it out? We still got 20 laps to decide it.
Now, with the way that Quinn and Johnston's been running in this pack, here's a different strategy that they could be throwing out. They could be racing as hard as they want, and then once everyone's pitted, they can just let off. They can just slowly save fuel once everyone else is pitted. But I mean, it's a different strategy than I've seen other cars do, but that is a strategy that they can do. They'll know that they've got a huge gap on the next pack of cars, or the next to third place, so they can just let off and let everyone clock laps as they're just slowly trekking around and saving as much fuel as they can.
I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about them doing that strategy, but what kind of entered in my mind is, once everybody comes to pit lane, I mean, is it too late to try saving that much fuel? Even if you are able to keep like a big chunk of distance between yourself and everybody else. Because remember, you're trying to save between 2 to 3 laps of fuel in those two respective drivers. Everybody else, they're all making their pit stops. They're going to be full throttle. I don't know if you can really afford to lose that much time trying to save that much fuel with so little laps left to go.
It's going to be difficult moves all around, and we'll see how it works out. As in this lead pack, I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but Andrew Wood and Hollabaugh are in this top pack of where
And
the leaders
Brophy.
are.
All three of them, Brophy, Hollabaugh, and Wood, right there, might be looking at the potential battle for the win, depending on what happens with the 4 and the 28. We're still waiting for the race leader, Scott Taylor, to hit pit road. I think the next car to hit pit lane projected would be the 67 of Connor Horn. He's about 3 laps away from having to make his pit stop.
And all three of those cars are trying to stay in front of Scott Taylor just in case there is a caution that comes out. They're trying their best to stay in front of this leader. That's the real issue with these guys, is they've got to try to stay in front of the 95 until the 95 has to come into the pits.
That's a great point. You know, we could get that late race yellow, and these guys do not want to be trapped a lap down. Right now, they are on the tail end of the lead lap in 15th, 16th, and 17th place. As I believe Connor Horn has come to pit road, making his final stop of the day.
As well as the 17 of Evans are coming into the pit road.
Right now, Liam Quinn runs in the 3rd position, Nicholas Johnston in the 4th position, and there's actually, right now, a battle between the two of them again at the front of that second group, which right now is basically the group out there. There's only 2 guys up there in that front group, the side-by-side battle right now between Riley Thompson and Scott Taylor, and I think right now, based off what I'm seeing, next driver we would be seeing on pit road would be that 95 car. He's going to have to pit in the next 2 laps.
2 laps, we'll see him come in. I mean, a lot of these drivers, have been saying that the car feels so much better when it's lighter and doesn't have as much fuel in it. So pushing as far as these guys are pushing it, they might feel a lot more comfortable, but are they losing time by being out here with this pack of cars and not coming in sooner?
Now we got Thompson and Taylor in this lead group. They still have to hit pit road. I believe that Thompson can go a couple laps long. No, he's going to pit now. He could have gone about another 4 laps, but he's pitting, and Taylor hard on the brakes.
They were so close.
They were. Man. So they pit. That turns the lead over. Question mark? Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston, 1 and 2. 12 laps to go. Do they have the fuel to make it? Right now, based off the fuel window, Liam Quinn is on his 32nd lap, Johnston on his 33rd. If they have not been saving, right now they are both short of making it to the checkers.
As now the
and
pack
Johnston
that they were with.
pits. That answers that question. Johnston's on pit road, along with Kite Brommerspach, I believe Mitch Welker, John Poole pitting as well. That leaves Liam Quinn out there. So here's the question now. 11 laps to go. You brought up the possibility of trying to save, trying to coast, maybe use Connor Horn as draft there. He's not going to. I mean, 11 laps, is that enough time to save 2 laps of fuel, which is where we had him projected short of making it?
Nope, he's coming in now. That is going to put our thoughts onto Brophy. I believe Brophy, Scott Taylor, in that group of cars is where the battle's going to be, with Liam Quinn coming in the pits now.
There it is, right there. Thompson, Taylor, Hollabaugh, Wood, and Brophy. Those are the guys. Those are the 5 right now that are going to settle this thing out if we remain green to the end. And they are all lined up, nose to tail, 1st through 5th when they cross the line this time.
We thought maybe there could have been fuel strategy, but this is the most dominant 5 cars all race long. They've been looking quick from the start to finish. And if we stay green, this is going to be one heck of a finish.
We saw basically the exchange of the lead back and forth between 1st and 2nd. Now all 5 of these drivers are going to be trying to dive into the corners, trying to make passes. There's going to be no riding and watching to see what happens here with 10 laps to go.
Absolutely not. I mean, we've seen Brophy struggling it out in the back of the middle of the pack. And now we're going to be seeing also Scott Taylor, who is battling it out in the back of the pack. He's up here as well. So those 2 cars, they've been moving back and forth from the back of the pack to the front. They know what it takes to pass vehicles. But you got also got to think about Andrew Wood and Hollabaugh. They've been up here as well. So as Riley Thompson. They've been staying up front all race long. And we'll see who is going to win this race as we're coming to the end, a couple of laps of this race.
Tell you what, if Brophy is third on the final lap, my money's on him to win, because that move he made through 1 and 2 that last time around, going to the inside of Hollabaugh, swinging to the outside of Riley Thompson to get the lead out of 2, that was beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm not even surprised we see Thompson, who's in the back of this pack, win this thing. I mean, I remember earlier in the race, we saw Ryan Heater make a move from 6th to 1st in 1 lap. I mean, it is possible to make a move from whatever position you're in these top 5 cars.
Look up here, we got another car that's up in this group, and that is, I believe, the lap machine of Will Roberts. I mean, he could play a factor in this. He could be a bit of a drafting buddy for someone to maybe get a toe off of, or to be able to make a move and have some momentum. And I think there's actually another car right there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that is the 12 car. No, it's not the 12. Who is that? There's another car that's there. Yeah, Mike Hurley. So, I mean, these guys could maybe play a factor into who's going to win this race.
I can see these lap cars really being respectful and just letting the 5 cars battle it out and just stay behind them. We haven't really seen any lap cars come in and try to cause any chaos here. They're not battling it out for getting off of a pit row. I mean, off of a lap position. So I don't see them making any drastic moves here with these lead 5 cars.
We're going to keep the camera up here at the front of the field, but I do want to mention, as far as the points battle goes for the points lead, right now Mitch Welker is battling for the 7th position with Nicholas Johnston. You got Connor Horn in the mix there as well, but I mean, the points are still going to be close going into next week, the way that the 76 and 28 are right in the same vicinity.
Yeah, we got the battle for the lead up here up front. We were almost 3 wide, almost 4 wide entering turn number 1. But the battle for the second pack is heating up as well as we're coming to the end of this race.
It is Connor Horn, Kite Brommersbach, Nicholas Johnston. I mean, look at this, 3 wide. Mitch Welker's in the mix. Liam Quinn is in this group. Cohen Evans. You got more drivers battling here for the 6th position than you do for the race win.
It looks like Nicholas Johnston, unless there's a caution, he is not going to be finishing second again, which is the shame, because I thought maybe he could have gone for 3 for 3. But up front, you got Jason Brophy and Matt Hollabaugh staying side by side, and Andrew Wood just lurking in 3rd.
Taylor right there along with Riley Thompson. I mean, are they basically kind of waiting to see what happens with these top 3, or when do they make their charge? They've got Will Roberts right behind them, as well as Hollabaugh. Nice slingshot to the outside. Let's see if he can keep the momentum through 3 and 4.
I mean, Woods and Hollabaugh have been making moves up front and that before the last pit stop. So they've been seeing what moves they can make. They're probably saving it until the last 2 laps to really make their move.
Seeing these guys all race long really be respectful about the boundaries of side-by-side racing, but I think we get down to the final lap and we're going to see them get as close as they can for side drafting. Another slingshot to the top side for Hollabaugh. Wood is going to go up there with him, almost cut off the nose of Scott Taylor in the process.
Riley Thompson just lurking in 5th place as those 4 cars are side by side as we're being 2 laps to go. Who is going to win this?
Hollabaugh has gotten himself alongside of Jason Brophy. Up top side, 3 wide. That's Scott Taylor with momentum. Tries to keep the momentum in that 3rd groove. Not going to work. Let's see if that gives him straightaway speed. And look at Brophy. He's got to figure out, do I want to block the low side? Do I want to block the high side? It's going to be the top side that Hollabaugh goes to, still side by side in the 3. And Taylor's still trying to make that 3rd groove work.
Taylor trying to make it 3 wide as we're coming to the white flag here at Michigan Motor Speedway. We're going to see what is going to happen here as Brophy has just been holding that bottom line and has not gone past at all as the O2 is trying his best in the middle.
3 wide into turn 1. Taylor continuing to try and do something. Hollabaugh looks to cross.
Brophy!
Contact. Brophy into the air, flipping and barrel rolling. We continue to race back to the checkers, though. Hollabaugh showing the way. Andrew Wood now slots to 2nd.
Andrew Wood on the outside, going to be trying to make a slingshot move. Could be going for another win here as he's going to be right on top of Hollabaugh. Is he going to be able to make a move as they're going to be staying side by side? Hollabaugh at the line.
A little less than a car length. Matt Hollabaugh is going to win here tonight at Michigan. A wild wreck there for the 88 of Brophy. Coming out of turn 2 on the final lap, he will finish, looks like, in the 15th position as a result. And it was him, I think, trying to figure out where to block. I think he moved low to block Hollabaugh, who tried to cross him over out of the 2nd corner. The two of them may have locked bumpers, and a wild ride for the UPS machine.
I was re-looking at it, and it looks like Halaba just tapped Brophy's, looks like his rear left wheel with his bumper and just spun him around that way. It was just a simple tap, but it was enough to spin him around as Halaba gets the win.
You saw everybody scattering around there from third place on back, which kind of makes me wonder if maybe Wood lost some momentum, and that's why he wasn't able to get as close to the back bumper of Halaba there through 3 and 4, or else we might have had maybe a side-by-side battle at the line between those two coming to the checkers. We're going to go back and see what happened here. We kind of saw it in live action, but we'll get a more in-depth look here with what happened to Brophy. And that's got to be so tough for Brophy, leading this race on the final lap, and next thing you know, you're airborne.
Yeah, I mean, Brophy was looking very solid. He really, no one was able to get by him while he's holding that bottom line. It just was unfortunate, and the way it happened, it was just a racing incident, getting a little close, and at the end of the race, you never know how close you're going to have to get to make a move.
You could kind of see Halaba setting him up there in turn 1 as he went about a half groove higher. And then when the 88 kind of pushed up off the corner, you saw that the 0-2 of Halaba turned left, cut it down, and you could tell it was the inside line he was going to try and make the move at. And we saw it right there, just the locking of bumpers. And unfortunately, there's just no way to be able to bump draft with these particular kind of cars. Someone's going to get snapped around. And unfortunately for Brophy, it was him.
But Brophy, I mean, besides that accident, I mean, he looked like he was going to have a solid run at the end there. He started with the issues at the beginning of this race and slowly worked his way up and had a chance at the win there. But I got to give it up to Halaba. I mean, he really did well staying in the top 10 almost all race long, and there in the final pack for those last 2 pit stops. And same with Andrew Wood and Scott Taylor. All 3 of those cars, and Riley Thompson, all 4 of them were up front for most of this race.
I'll tell you what, too, tremendous credit to those guys up there in that lead pack as well, because when Brophy went up and hit the wall, that car shot right back down the track. It's a wonder we didn't have a couple others of our top 5 get collected up in that incident. So very fortunate that we got away with just a single car wreck there, especially with a car getting airborne.
It really was. As we are waiting for racers to get into the waiting room to interview them.
And as we wait, we'll show you the full finisher results from the race. Matt Halaba, the winner. Andrew Wood almost went 2 for 2 in Speedway wins. He'll finish second. Scott Taylor in third. Riley Thompson fourth. And even though he was leading that second pack, Connor Horn's going to get a top 5 there with a 5th place run. Nicholas Johnston finishes 1 position ahead of Mitch Welker. Now, I don't remember if either one of them led a lap in this race. I don't think they did. Johnston maybe when
I believe Johnston led 1.
So it may be Johnston by 1 point over Mitch Welker going into Homestead next week. I don't know. Cohen Evans going to finish in the top 10 in 8th. Pole sitter John Poole in 9th. And Cristobal Valenzuela, he's going to finish the day out in the 10th position as we look on down through the remainder of the finishing results from this race. Had a total of 13 cars finish on the lead lap. But amazingly enough, only 1 caution here today in 156 laps.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, clean racing overall. It was a shame on how much pit road was eating up cars on that first pit stop of green flag runs. You really don't expect that to happen very often, but with how many cars were coming into pit road, it was bound for someone to have an issue.
We have couple of our top 3 standing by. Let's bring in 3rd place finisher Scott Taylor.
I got
it. Sam and Seth up here in the... I'm sorry, Matt and Seth up here. Oh, no, it's Sam. I'm getting my names mixed up. Up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios, you got us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that was a wild last couple of laps. I mean, let's first go back. We weren't really talking about you at first. You weren't up there inside the top 10. Then after the first round of green flag pit stops, you're up there, not only the top 10, but then fought your way up into the top 5. I mean, what was the strategy and how was it that green flag pit stop gained you so much track position?
It was really going to be a long race. We didn't expect many cautions, and it was going to be dependent on green stops and short stops. and aggressive pit entries, and it worked out pretty well. Worked my way up through the pit cycles, and at the end, having a chance at the win, it was pretty good. Otherwise, I think if you were cautious on pit entry, you were losing so much time. It was just showed the difference at the end there, keeping up with the front pack.
Saw yourself along with a lot of others kind of doing an exchange for the race lead, and I don't think it was necessarily willingly, obviously with the momentum that drivers could get in the draft and everything, but in your mind, what was the position that you would have wanted to be in there on that final lap to have a chance at the win?
I mean, other than being in the front two positions where they could really control where the clean air was, holding that outside line, I was hoping maybe to keep him down as far down on the track as possible there at the end. I wasn't expecting Jason to go up the track from that contact, but I was expecting to end up pinching him down and maybe having that middle seam and just forcing him down to the white and then coming back up. It was really the only chance I had. They did a good job at controlling the front spot, doing that two-car tango with the clean air, and they did really good. So that's all I had.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, it looked, I mean, where you started 23rd in this race. And we heard also that the setup was a little tight. Was it tight passing cars throughout traffic?
If the two cars or the car that you were trying to overtake had clean air through the corner, it was very difficult unless you had draft to pull on the straightaway. It was just kind of the deal where the pack racing wasn't there. They didn't want pack racing, and for what it was good. You had to strategically time your runs and take the opportunities when you got them because they were pretty rare. Up after the first restart, or after the first caution, rather.
First top 5 finish of the season for you here takes place at Michigan. I want to congratulate you on a podium finish, and we're going to turn the microphone over to you now and let you do some shout outs.
Well, first off, I want to thank all the TDR guys for helping out, especially with the draft. Riley, especially, Hayden, Dakota, and Jason, who's had his first race. And that was pretty special, although he unfortunately got into an accident. That was a bit unfortunate there. But other than that, I can only thank them. I mean, it was a decent setup. It was a good race. So I want to thank them for hosting the race and all that. I think as much as people were critical about the setup, it ended up producing a good finish and good racing. So thank you to Will and all of them.
And no arguments up here in the booth about good racing. Definitely was an exciting one to watch. Congratulations on your 3rd place run, and maybe this is a sign of good things to come in the upcoming weeks.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
All right, and yeah, for Scott coming into this race, he has started the first 2 races of the season, came in 17th in points, and especially early on in the season, this is going to jump him up in the standings for sure. Let's bring in 2nd place finisher Andrew Wood. Andrew, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
So close to going 2 for 2 at the Speedway so far this season. I mean, I was wondering, the wreck with the 88, they're off of 2, if you maybe slowed up a little to avoid him or not. If that's not the case, what little bit more did you need through 3 and 4 to catch the 0-2?
Well, so for the last 6 or 7 laps or so, I was doing some practice, runs to see what kind of stuff I could pull off on the last lap. I was trying a bunch of different lines for several laps, just, kind of going low, taking mid-track, going high, seeing what kind of place I could put myself in a favorable position to win. Being 3rd isn't really that easy to to pull something like that off, honestly. So I really kind of had to rack my brain and try and think of different lines that would get me a nice run through the corner. But everything kind of went out the window when I saw a car spinning and dying in front of me. So as soon as I saw the car bounce into the wall and bounce back onto the track, I immediately just went into the infield to avoid any danger, because at that point, finishing 2nd, 3rd, or 4th meant more to me than being crashed out of the race and not finishing at all. So when I got to turn 3 and 4, I thought I still might have had a shot if I had a nice gap to catch up to him. If the start finish line was a little farther down the straightaway, I probably would have had him. But it is what it is, and I'm happy Matt got a win. I took a win away from him accidentally last season, so it's good to see him on top, even though he's probably not feeling too great about what happened right now.
Well, we ended up based off the way that the racing package was and everything, knowing that this particular type of car has the low downforce and all that. We were kind of looking at this a little bit in a super speedway type look. And so we were thinking that probably everybody was going to want to come to pit road in packs. You were an exception to that rule back when we started the first round of green flag pit stops. You came to pit road by yourself ahead of everybody else. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, it's a good point. I really didn't have a strategy, to be honest. The tires really weren't wearing that much. The lap times were pretty similar throughout the entire stint from start to finish. Um, to really put it into perspective, I was running with Connor pretty decently, doing some swap drafting. Not the best, but we were pulling it off. And then Heater came into the mix, and because he was so far into what we were doing, he was really kind of screwing up a lot of what our runs were. So when I saw what he was trying to do, I was kind of hanging out in the back for a little bit. I was running out of fuel anyway. Like, I was kind of getting to the point where I needed to pit. So at that point, I just said, you know what, let me just roll the dice a bit and come into pit lane, let them continue doing what they're doing. I thought it was the wrong decision at first, but when I came out behind, I think it was Connor again, because I think he pitted, we were working together to catch that big pack that was right behind us. And in about 3 laps, we had gained like 2 or 3 seconds. So at that point, I knew that pitting early was the right call, as long as you didn't screw up your stop and you had a buddy to work with to get some speed off of down the straightaways. So that's what put us ahead in that first group pretty solidly there. But it was risky. It could have backfired. I could have been the only car on pit lane. They all could have stayed in the pack, and I would have been just by myself, just doing my own thing. But I'm happy that when I pit, I actually heard the next couple laps guys calling in their pit stops. So it really worked out for me. So yeah, it was nothing I had planned. I just wanted to roll the dice and do something differently, and it worked out.
Yeah, Andrew, that was a great race. You really put on a great show. We're now going to hand it off to you and let you do some shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for broadcasting, obviously. I'm looking forward to checking it out later. Shout out to the guys that run the league, Will, Evan. Good job for keeping us sane and putting on some great events and stuff. And shout out to all the guys that raced, obviously. It was fun racing close with a lot of you guys. And shout out to my Team Talent, and Liam Quinn for helping me out with strategy and talking me off the ledge a couple times. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, sounds good. That's Andrew Wood, who so far this season to the Speedways, a win and a second place, and we're going to a Speedway next week at Homestead, so wish you luck there.
Yes, thanks a lot. See you guys.
And I actually, I earlier was saying it's going to be really close between Welker and Johnston for the points lead. I didn't throw into the equation that Andrew Wood finishing second was only 4 points back. Right now, with the calculations going on my head, we haven't got anything official. I could see these three less than about 2 points separation going into next week. So points are going to be really close. Let's bring in our race winner, Matt Hollabaugh. First start of the season, first checkered flag. And it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
I got you, man.
Oh, a wild finish there. It looked like you had a strategy of how you were going to set up that 88. I mean, walk us through what you were thinking as far as, when you were going to make your move. Did it go according to plan that you were going to make that move there in turn 2, or was there like kind of a spur of the moment decision with getting that big run in turn 1?
So I will say, entering turn 1, I was looking to make sure I stayed on the, I don't remember who that was directly on my outside there. I was looking to make sure that he stayed on my outside, and then if I had a chance, if the hole opened up, I would try to get on the inside of Brophy exiting 2. And if that didn't work out, I'd just hang behind Brophy and then possibly just yeet it in there into turn 3. But unfortunately, I got on him, and that's kind of all she wrote for him. He's fine, by the way. If I'm not sure if I'm not sure how deep into the simulation, if we're doing he's alive. The medical staff at Michigan were okay. So just for context, Brophy is actually my teammate. We were in chat that whole time. I just feel so awful for him that was not what I wanted to do. I did not want to get on him. When I realized that the closing rate was too close, too high between us exiting 2. By the time I realized that, it was too late, and I was already like there was a little bit of net code between us, and it caught him and spun him out, and I just feel awful about that. That's not how I wanted to win my first fuel race.
You were mentioning about the fact you know who's to your outside. That was actually Scott Taylor, and a couple of
Taylor?
times
Okay.
there on those final 2 laps, it was you, Brophy, and Taylor 3 wide, but it would look like the middle line, outside line would kind of lose ground in the center of the corner and then gain it on the straightaways. Was there any way, do you think, to be able to make that outside line work against the 88 to make a pass, or did you have to do it on that inside line?
I don't think the outside line was particularly viable without a giant run. With the inside line, maybe you wanted to get as close to the inside as possible and potentially attempt to squeeze that inside car, close off his exit so he can't track out to the wall and maybe slow him down. That was like the only viable strategy I could have thought of, other than getting under them, which clearly, like, I tried and it went horribly, horribly wrong for the 88. Again, Jason, if you're watching, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Matt, that was a great run by you. It looked like you were in the basically top 5 for most of this race. Was there at any point that during your strategy you're like, well, maybe I should short pit or pit whenever Andrew's pitting, or were you trying to push your car as far as you could?
So towards the end of that, I was in communication with Jason, with Brophy, and we were talking about, like, he had more fuel than I did on board, so we were just in communication, trying to make sure that we pit with each other, so we'd have another car to work with, and then we found ourselves kind of up at the front towards the end. I will say my strategy, early in the race, I was trying to go as long as I could and maybe scratch a pit stop out of the equation, see if I could make it to the end. But once we got that first caution, it all went crazy. Yeah.
Well, definitely gave us an exciting finish to call, no doubt about that. First start of the season, your first checkered flag. We're going to turn the microphone over to you. Let's do some shout outs here.
Is it awkward to shout out Jason Brophy there?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, Jason Brophy for just helping out with strategy that whole time, just working with me the whole race. Both Andrew Wood and Scott Taylor for just the awesome racing against each other. Like, they race clean consistently, and they're just some of the most fun drivers I race against on this whole service. So shout out to them. My work for letting me have the day off so I could run this for once, because that's the only reason I haven't actually run these so far this season. David Harrington for taking over my shift today. Also, yeah, it's Thrustmaster for the wheel, Fanatec for the pedals. Actually, I just bought the damper kit for my brake and my throttle. This is my first race running them. I just installed them like a half hour before I got into the car for practice, and they clearly worked out pretty well. Next Level Racing for the... I'm streaming, by the way, so you might be watching my camera. Next Level Racing for the rig. Yeah.
All right, well,
that's all of them.
Matt Hollabaugh. He's your winner here tonight at Michigan. Hopefully you get another night off here on a Thursday night and get to run again, and we may get a chance to be able to talk to you once more, but enjoy this one.
And before I go, I just want to say congratulations on saying my last name reasonably well. Most people don't. I want to make sure that goes out on record that you did a good job.
Give myself a pat on the back.
Yes, give yourself a pat on the back. Have a good night, man.
All right, have a great night, and congrats.
Thanks.
All right, and that's going to conclude our coverage here tonight from Michigan. I mean, Sam, we had expectations coming into this race. Was there anything that happened that you didn't expect, or anything that didn't happen that you did expect, or did it basically all just kind of go according to what you really expected we were going to see tonight?
I got to say, all the cautions on pit road, I mean, yeah, you expect it to be chaotic, but I didn't expect to see that many cars have issues on pit road and seeing so many cars being taken out that way. But it was good to see almost a full green flag run throughout the rest of the race. Only one caution was good to see. So a lot of good racing, and that was a fun race to watch for sure.
I think one thing that I didn't really plan on, based on the fact of the number of laps that we saw and everything, and just based on knowing how IndyCars work, I wasn't expecting to see the possibility of someone being able to pull off some fuel strategy. I mean, obviously, in the end, Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnson, neither of them could make it. They basically threw up the white flag of surrender, came to pit road. Both of them still managing to finish the race. Only Johnston finished in the top 10. Quinn actually finished back in 14th. But, just the possibility, entertaining the possibility that someone was going to be able to pull off a fuel strategy win wasn't really something I had in the back of my mind. And so that made things kind of exciting there in the closing stages. But, no doubt about it. Definitely this rules package, the way that the draft worked, the low downforce. We knew there was going to be pack racing, and it came down to 5 drivers there at the end. And as you stated back, just before those final few laps, these were the 5 that were up there at the front all day long, and it seemed only fitting it came down between those 5 for that checkered flag.
Yeah, but it was a great race to watch. And just, the pack racing, it's Michigan. You don't usually see that with stock cars, but with these Indy cars and the way these downforce works, it's so much fun watching them use their pack racing skills, and I can't wait for next week.
I mean, we saw them racing close here today, and I think we're going to be seeing the points really close going into next week. Next week's going to be some more speedway racing, as we're going to be heading down into sunny Florida at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Be interesting to see how the low downforce package plays out at that 1.5 miles, but that coverage is going to be coming to you next Thursday night. For Sam, I'm Seth. We will see you guys next week. I believe our next broadcast is not going to be until, I think it's maybe, I know that we actually have a broadcast that's going to be coming up on Monday night, but as far as iRacing, I'm not sure if our next one might not be next Thursday night. So
It's this week.
is there one this week?
Yep, there's going to be FTF on Saturday.
We aren't doing FTF this Saturday night.
Nope, we are doing FTF this Saturday.
We are doing FTF this
I'll tell
Saturday
you more
night. Okay.
details when we're off the air.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so be sure to tune in for that. But until then, for Sam, I'm Seth. We will see you guys next time as you've been watching another